How can you certify that a property that you're about to buy is authentic? What are the documents you must have to ensure the sale is complete? We have all the answers to that question right here, so let's get straight to the point. So you are trying to buy a property. And we know a lot of times people get into trouble or they get into the hands of dupes because they don't know what they're supposed to have, the documents they're supposed to have, who they're supposed to employ to help them make sure that sale is authentic and complete. That's a conversation right here on Straight to the Point. And of course, I'm Gloria. And I have with me Olamide Oyetaya, who's a commercial lawyer. Welcome, Olamide.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So the basic question, the very basic question, what do you need to do? How can you tell that a property that you are intending to buy is even authentic and is on the market?
Thank you so much for that question. You know, as a Nigerian and as a Nigerian lawyer, I have had the opportunity of representing clients who need to buy a property, a family property, commercial property. And in the course of my experience as a lawyer, as a commercial lawyer, as a property lawyer, I have had the opportunity of guiding them through in purchasing their dream property. So what I do as a lawyer is to conduct a due diligence. So I always advise my clients, I advise Nigerians, I advise everybody, even people that have not engaged me as their lawyer, to conduct due diligence. So what do I mean by due diligence? You know, you do not just purchase something, or you do not just go into a business you have no idea about. You have to conduct your due diligence. So what do I mean by due diligence? You go to the land registry, you go to the probate registry, you go to the court registry, and what you do at the land registry, as far as Abuja is concerned, we have AGIS, we have Abuja Geographic Information Systems, where you do your search. So now when you do your search, you ask the intending seller to give you the title, the root document, the title document of that property. So you take it over to AGIS and then do your search. So when you do that, the intending seller would come along with the original copy. They do the search over there, they verify that the land or the property you intend to buy, it's in tandem with the document the seller has shown to you that this document is in respect of this land. So when the seller presents that document, they do the search at the AGIS to check whether there's any encumbrance, you know, on that property. So when you do that, it will be shown whether there's an encumbrance on that land or on the document, and then as well you are going to do what I call another search at the court registry, where the essence or the purpose of doing that search at the court registry is to know whether that land is a subject of litigation. So when you are sure that that land is not a subject of litigation, or that property is not subject to litigation, then you go ahead. If it's a family property, you go to the probate to know whether that land was inherited by the person who wanted to sell that land. So those are just a few things that you need to do to be sure that the person presenting that document has the right to pass ownership of that land to someone else. You know, you have to be sure, you know, those are instances, those are steps in which you have to take to be sure that this person that is posing as the owner of this land has documents over that land, has the title documents. And then when you check, you know, you also as well, you check whether that land has a survey plan. You know, you get a surveyor to check the coordinates to see that the measurements of that land goes in tandem with the document, the root title, the title that person has presented. So those are the basic things you need to do to be sure that that land is indeed a good land to purchase.
Okay, so when you say encumbrances, what does that mean?
Okay, so encumbrances could be that somebody else has an interest over that land. So if someone else has an interest over that land, that's an encumbrance. If that land is the subject of litigation, that's an encumbrance. You
Okay.
understand?
All right.
Yes.
So basically, that land is free to be sold. Nobody is contesting ownership of that land.
that land.
There are no people who are maybe fighting over the land. It's not in
Exactly.
court, so that means it is not encumbered. All right. So let's go down to. I think this one always comes into play, especially when people either want to resell the property they bought, or maybe they want to use a property as a collateral, where they begin to hear, oh, you should bring this document, or the title deed, or the C of O, or this and that. Okay, I know that it's probably different for different states, but let's talk about Abuja, at least where we are. What are the necessary documents that you must see and have before you can say, all right, I can buy this property because the documents are complete?
Okay, first of all, when you purchase a land or a property, you must get your receipt. That comes first. The receipt shows that you've indeed paid for this land. So that's one of the root titles. That's one of the documents that you will present as an evidence that you've purchased that particular land or property. So the receipt comes first. Then after the receipt, you have your survey plan that shows that the land you bought was measured, and then you got a document that stated the coordinates, the measurements, that this particular land, this document belongs to this particular land. So it must be properly measured in that survey plan. And then after the survey plan, for a land that was purchased from a real estate company, or for a land in which you're not paying full payments for, that you're paying instrumentally, then you must have your sale of contract agreement. But if it's a land which you have paid fully for, you could have your deed of assignment. You must have your deed of assignment. You must have your power of attorney, and then your building approval as well. So I think that counts as the documents you must have over a land which you have purchased.
When does C of O come in?
Okay, yes, C of O comes in last. C of O comes in where after you've made payments for it, after you've registered your power of attorney, then the C of O will be issued by the Minister of Land. It will be issued by the FCT Minister. If we're talking about Abuja, it will be issued by the FCT. After you've made payments for it, after you've registered your power of attorney, then your C of O will be issued.
That's the certificate of occupancy.
Yes.
So basically you need that. What's the difference between certificate of occupancy and right of occupancy?
The difference, there isn't much difference, but it's like a ladder. It goes from having your receipt, having your survey plan, having your deed of assignment, having your power of attorney, your right of occupancy, your certificate of occupancy. So it all states that you have the rights over this land. It states that, according to the Land Use Act 1978, we actually do not fully own our lands. We are basically paying rents over that land. So it states the contract you have between yourself and the governor, who has the full right over the land, because at a point in time when there's a need for it, the land can be
Taken from you. Taken from you,
yes. But before the land can be taken from you, right? In fact, it can be taken from you even if you have all your documents complete, but you will be given compensation.
Okay.
Yes. But you will only be given compensation if you have the proper documents over that land. If you have not done the right thing, you will not be compensated. It will just be taken from you.
That one's a serious conversation to be had, and we are definitely coming to that. But there are some places they call it governor's consent.
Yes.
Is it the same thing as
minister's consent?
Minister's
yes.
consent.
For states, they call it governor's consent, but for FCT Abuja, it is minister's consent.
And you must also have that as well.
Yes, you must have that.
All right, so let's get into this conversation that you just brought up, which is what some people experienced in Lagos, and some of what some people who wake up one morning and the government wants to maybe pave a road across their buildings or their property. Let's talk about compensation. In what ways? Because does the government give you entirely what you paid for that land, or is there a percentage that you receive in terms of compensation? So how does the compensation come?
Okay.
Will you be given all your money, or is there how is it measured anyways?
Actually, how it is measured is that you will be paid the value, the value as at the time they are coming in for the demolition. They would, evaluate what the value of that property is at that point in time, and then pay you the actual compensation of what the value of that property is.
So if I bought the property at 2 million in 2010, and now in 2024 that property is worth 24 million, the government will pay me 24 million.
It would be evaluated by them, by the estate valuers. They usually have their people who work with, they have the
Surveyors.
Abuja resettlement. There's a name they call the department at the FCT minister's office. So they evaluate it and then pay you what the value of the land is at that point in time. So if at the point where you bought it, it was 2 million and you developed your land, you did a lot of things on it, you have your borehole, you have supermarket or whatever, they will value it and they will pay you compensation according to the value of that land at that point in time.
So what is what they say? And if they say at that time it's just 5 million, even when...
So at that point you can contest, you can appeal, you get your own estate valuer to value your land, and then you write a letter, you make an appeal that you paid a so amount of money. This is not the value of my land.
Exactly.
I want this value.
But how often, as a commercial lawyer, how often do people actually get justice in that regard? Where, let's say, for instance, the government demolished your property and is saying to you that we're going to pay something far less than what you believe it is worth at the time, and then you decide to go to court. How often do people get justice in those cases?
Well, I can't tell, but what I know, I can say what I know, that actually one of my clients got compensation for a land in Abuja recently, and the client was not so happy about the payment. So I told the client that we could, get a valuer, value this land and see what we can get out of it. So at the moment we are appealing, right? But I know there are several Supreme Court authorities over this issue. You can approach the court. Nigerians do not trust our judiciary.
For good reason, sir.
Yes,
I understand.
But, you can try.
You can try.
You can try.
You can try.
Yes.
Okay, but have you seen instances where people actually get, justice in court and it's enforced? Because in Nigeria, the problem isn't just about getting a court judgment in your favor. Will it be enforced?
Yes.
Have you seen situations where that has happened?
A lot of times.
Oh, fantastic.
A lot of times.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Some people think the judiciary do not work, but it actually works.
I would believe you, since you are a lawyer.
It takes time.
It takes time.
Yes,
it takes time. That's usually the issue.
Your time, your resources.
Okay. So what about situations where government says, you know what, in the master plan? Okay, I have two questions. Let me go back to the very first question I wanted to ask, which is there a possibility that you could actually go to Aegis or to these government agencies to do your due diligence, and then they tell you that this land is unencumbered, but after you've bought it, you find out it actually is encumbered? Are there possibilities of that happening when you followed everything to the letter?
Actually, it's possible, but the risk of that happening is minimized if you do the due diligence, which I talk about, doing a blanket due diligence. You go to every court registry, public registry, land registry, you do your inspection, you ask questions. The risk of becoming a victim of property fraud is minimized. It's at a very low rate if you do your due diligence.
But the risk still exists.
I'm saying it's possible, but the risk of that happening is very low.
So a lot of you have been renting houses. You've been renting properties. You always hear lawyer's fee, agent's fee, service charge, and all of that. And at the end of the day, sometimes you're actually paying almost the cost of the rent just to move in because of all of these extra charges. The question is, are they legal? Are they right?
To them, agents are indispensable. They cannot do without them. Agents have a network of people that would pay for those properties. You do not continue to pay this fee, that fee, when you've not seen any property to rent.
But that is what is applicable right now.
Because of the demand. Because it is the duty of the landlord to pay the lawyer's fees and the agency fee, because the agent and the lawyer has been contracted by the landlord.